From NBC's Morning Joe, the president's unhealthy obsession with Morning Joe does not serve the best interests of his mental state or the country he runs.
Nothing makes a man feel better than making a fake cover of a magazine about himself, lying every day and destroying the country.
Okay,
it's a good feeling.
Well, enough about me.
All right, then came the Trump tweets. I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speaks badly of me. Don't watch anymore. Then how come low IQ Crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no. Dr. Andy Pollack.
Yeah, I keep looking at this and thinking that this is tremendously uninteresting given everything else that's going on in the world right now. I think this is going to be a huge boon to Morning Joe's ratings. I think most of the country is uninterested in it, and it'll help Donald Trump in the long run.
Mary Cook.
The man needs a competency evaluation.
That's it? All right, Anthony McCarthy.
I find it so distasteful. He's like a child that you shake your keys in front of, you have his attention, but he says the most distasteful, vile things coming from the President of the United States. Embarrassing.
Delegate Pat McDonough.
Keep tweeting, but not this kind of stuff. This is bizarre. It's below the presidency, and it doesn't help. Use the tweet machine in an intelligent way and an informative way.
All right, happy 4th of July, everybody.
There's the rub.
It's quiet, please.
Okay, yes.
4th of July, fireworks have already started. Welcome to Square Off. I'm Richard Scher. Pat, adjust your chair. That's good.
Thank you very much.
Brought to you by Pappas Restaurants, serving Baltimore's #1 rated crab cake. You decided that. And it's delicious, shipping their fab cakes all across America, Oprah's favorites, and by Future Care and Vital Strong Rehabilitation, guaranteed to get you or your loved ones home faster and much stronger.
I don't see that as an appropriate comment. I think, look, what we're trying to do around here is improve the tone and the civility of the debate, and this obviously doesn't help do that.
I think that the president has been attacked mercilessly on personal accounts by members on that program. I don't think that it's a surprise to anybody that he fights fire with fire.
And we agree with Andy Pollack. There's a lot more going on in the world than this. Why has this become such a big to-do?
Well, we love entertainment, but I have to tell you, I'm disturbed by the fact that, yes, he ran a campaign, he said anything he wanted, he could shoot someone in Times Square and still get elected and not lose any support. I thought that when he became president, we would see a different Donald Trump. I think his handlers would have handled him better, shut things down. No, he is getting worse.
Well,
and the scary thing is, this is the man whose finger is on the button, and he has no control, impulse control.
It is amazing to me that you don't have an appreciation of the fact that when you become president of the United States, you're governed, there is a right to free speech. People are going to say what they want. There are going to be people who like you and don't like you. People who like what you do and don't like what you do, and they're going to comment on it. And you have to have a thick skin. At the end of the day, you're the president of the United States. Let it go.
It's just not very interesting, though. So there's this visceral reaction on the part of the press to pounce on anything that he does that they think can lead them to be able to change the minds of his supporters. And this isn't going to do that.
I disagree
Nobody's
with you.
going to change their minds about him, basically, because this is who he is. It's who he's been from the beginning.
But the problem is that
he's not changing.
That's right. He's not changing. But the who he is has a misogynistic tone that underlies every one of these tweets.
Like that.
But it's not. Yeah, it's been like that, and it needs to be exposed. I'm an American. I'm an American. I deserve to be treated the same as a man in this country.
And so is he, and he deserves to be treated respectfully as the president of the United States. The bully
just
press,
like they treated Obama.
The bully press is now an attack dog. It's not a watchdog. That's the institution that I am concerned about.
That is not true.
You can put on CNN, you can put on
MSNBC,
that is absolutely untrue. And you see the same talking points. That is what concerns me, that young people are going to grow up thinking that journalism is to constantly attack. Investigation in the press is a good thing, but not to constantly attack on every visceral thing that happens. What are they reporting about the Democrats in terms of your friend Obama and Susan Rice and Comey and all that? We hear one side. It's so obvious, it is so clear. And every study that's been done, the Wall Street Journal study just last week, the percentages.
Can we interrupt?
You've been interrupting constantly, so you can interrupt in just a minute, my dear. So anyway, The Wall Street Journal, in real numbers, not Pat McDonough's opinion, makes it clear, Anthony, for you not to believe you must work in the media.
No, listen, we have heard stories over the last few months about Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. We've heard stories about Susan Rice.
Where has it gone?
Well, okay, so maybe because there's nothing there. But the problem is...
There's nothing there.
But listen,
but there's a lot with Russia and Trump. But there's nothing there.
How can you...
By the way, perfect example of everything I was just talking about. I know you weren't trying to be offensive, but I'm not your dear. I am another panelist on the show. That you can say what you want. I worked 29 years to become a lawyer. I don't like it when I come in to have an important point to make. It's not a cheap shot.
It's an endearment. This is what the liberals do. They get into petty, cheap shots because they can't. You can talk about the old men who make up.
It's an observation.
Well,
and it's an observation. Yeah, I know. You don't want to appreciate it because from you think it's coming from a place of goodwill.
Yes, it is.
Okay? But it doesn't matter what you think. It minimizes me. I'm the only woman at the table.
You won't get an apology. I'm sorry for that.
That's fine. I'm the only woman at the table, and it is just dear and the pat on the arm.
All right, everybody, quiet down. Now, President Trump, as you know,
that's an old trick. It doesn't work with me.
Pat, I'm going to have to put this gavel in your face.
That's a hammer.
All right. No, President Trump, famed for his online provocations, as you know, but his remarks about Mika, coming from a president, this is from the newspaper, who has faced criticism for his attitudes toward women, drew immediate denunciations in the political world, including from members of his own Republican Party.
For the President of the United States, the greatest country of the world, the person who is representing our country, to use that kind of language is just so inappropriate, and it simply has to stop.
Andy.
Yeah, again, I'm still not interested, Richard. We're pushing on 170 murders in the city of Baltimore right now. This is not important, okay? This is a couple of tweets. This is about the ratings for Morning Joe. Okay, we got to focus on what's actually important. We got to focus on tax reform. We got to focus on healthcare reform. I'm disappointed that he's doing things that are taking our focus away from that, but I'm not surprised by it. And quite frankly, I'm sorry. Maybe I missed something.
Do you feel
that offensive?
Tweets were appropriate, Andy? Let me talk to Andy.
No. But I don't care. They're tweets. It's 140 characters. The amount of space that this took up in our lives was this. That doesn't have anything to do with the lives of those 170 people who are gone.
Andy, but you are so reasonable and rational. This president of the United States, the greatest nation in the world, isn't. And so we have to talk about his impulse control. We have to talk about the things that he is doing to put this country at risk. He has abdicated all responsibility and let Bannon and all the rest of these people, including the greatest son-in-law in the world, Jared Kushner, take over policy. We are in trouble as a nation if we do not step up.
Well, if you believe that, that's fine, but that's not these 140 characters.
Except for the fact that this 140 characters is something that you happen to think isn't a big deal. No. When the 140 characters have to do with relations with China, with relations with North Korea, with instigating potential, warfare and belligerence between nations, that's a problem. And he isn't.
Final word. Final 30 seconds. It's coming from our distinguished delegates.
Well, first of all, I agree with Dr. Pollack. It is a waste of time. It is a distraction. And the press has been hell-bent, the bully press, the dishonest press has been hell-bent on taking all of these different issues, like the doctor's saying, and focus. Today, or yesterday, the Congress passed a new bill on Kate's Law, which is wonderful to save lives, and they passed an anti-sanctuary bill, which will save lives. We should be talking about that, not this.